Hello everyone, this is Yukta Rani and we are doing a quick revision of chapter 1 module 1.3, that is principles of testing. So here we start with the first principle, that is testing shows presence and not the absence of defects. That means testing will find you maximum defects possible, but it is not possible to prove object correctness, and it is not fair to say that defects are not present anymore in the object. The second principle of testing is exhaustive testing is impossible, which means that you can't always test all test scenarios. You have to choose on basis of three factors. The first factor is test techniques. The second factor is risk based testing. In risk based testing, you will have to see what are the inputs to the testing. I mean, you carry out a risk analysis with the stakeholders and the product owners, and based on the risks or highest risks component, you decide what to test. Now the third factor is test case prioritization. So when we do static analysis or the requirement analysis, in the requirement itself we get to know what are the priorities. Okay, now comes the third principle of testing, that means early testing is very important. It is nothing but shift left approach, where you involve testers and do static and dynamic testings at very early stages. This helps in identifying and fixing the defects early, and it reduces the cost further, because the if you identify defects early, it will reduce subsequent defects. Now fourth testing principle is that tests wear out. Now tests wear out means that if you use same testing techniques again and again, there is the possibility that you don't get defects anymore. But these techniques might be useful in some regression testing, where you have to test the other aspects also, like stability, etc. Fifth testing principle is that defects cluster together. It has been found in many testing that a small component of the system has major defects or a chain of defects. So if you identify them, that is very beneficial. Now identifying this, like predicting the defect cluster and the actual defect cluster, are the inputs to risk based testing. Here comes the sixth testing principle, that is testing is context dependent. Now based on the context, it is the same thing that we saw in the testing principle number 2, that based on the risks and the test case prioritization, you will choose how to test, okay, and how much you will choose how much testing to do, and based on the test techniques, that will answer your question how to test. That is testing is context dependent. There is no single universally applicable approach to testing. Now the seventh principle is absence of